This is a tale of friends, enemies, fantasies, shadows. It's my strange and wonderful 7th album. A retrospective, some context. I had a load of songs kicking around that I thought were too good to just be on my first lo-fi EP, which is Giant Shadow, released in the deepest wilds of 2005, 2004. And so I decided instead I would do something with some of these songs, and most of these songs are all dedicated to people in one way or the other. Towards the end it becomes a bit of a fantasy element, a bit of fictional element. So we'll start off with a bit of context. This whole thing came about as an album because I was working with my friend Andy Cannabee, who's also known as Fat Benjamin, and we were sending each other loops, and I was sending him vocal ideas, and we were going to collaborate and create an EP or an album together. And for one reason or another it never got off the ground, but I sent him like a mock track with just an organ of some weird loops, a simple drum loop and a vocal piece, and I just thought, God, so simple but so powerful. And that was the first song, Cloak of Fire. And I thought, I messaged him and said, sorry mate, I'm gonna have to keep it. He did a really awesome remix of it, and I'm looking forward to the time when he actually gets some ideas for some of the vocal ideas I've sent him, because I've sent him really bare bone stuff, and it's quite a lot. It's like 11 to 10 tracks. So if he hasn't got time to do it, eventually when he gets around to it, I'm sure it'll be really something special. But it kicked off with Cloak of Fire, and then I just kind of snowballed on the idea. I thought, well, some songs I need to get off my chest that have been around forever. Daisy Dresses is a song, the riff of which I actually had a really beaten up classical acoustic guitar when I was, God, this is so mad, when I was 16, and I was walking back from college, or got the bus back from college, and got off right where there's a little bit of countryside, and I went into where there used to be like a little dell, and I was playing guitar, and I was sheltered in this dell, but it was raining everywhere, and I come up with this little riff. Hold on, I'll show you. This one. I wrote the whole piece there and then, musically. And then, years later, I added the lyrics, and the lyrics were about a friend of mine, a one-time lover of mine, a woman that I lost my virginity to called Gemma, who was at the time my best friend, and we had this weird, almost pseudo-sibling-like friendship, and I was madly in love with her, and we were together for about 2 years, between us 19 and 21, or 18 and 20, it's such a blur now. And we went to college together, we used to sing together, play music together, and it just commemorates some of those moments. Years later, in 2003, she died. She was actually murdered. She'd run away from a relationship to be with somebody else, and they went up north, and the person she ran away with actually ended her life. And obviously it's utterly destroyed me. I can't put it into words, but I wanted to revisit in my mind all the positive elements and all the true elements, because when someone dies, people were like, oh, they were the most wonderful person. Obviously nobody's perfect, and you wind each other up and piss each other off. And I wanted to recapture some of the memories, and I wrote down lots of different memories that would come into my mind, and some of them are in this one. She used to wear lemon-coloured, daisy-covered dresses, some of the great picnics and just arguments, and the way her naked skin looked under the moonlight. It was really beautiful and something really special. Anyway, I've neglected to show you some of the tracks. see, simple drum element. Actually play this live acoustically in a tune-in, and it's totally different. It's more of a jam. Also, I've got, so the lyrics are kind of about I kind of fell out with somebody I was in a fickle fling with, and she was said she was casting black magic on me, and I kind of felt like envisioned this, or felt this, or had this dream of me around, surrounded by this kind of fire, and it was kind of protecting me and burning it away. And that's basically the source of the song. Let's listen to the riff as I recorded it. I've tried to give it some Blue Motel, some whammy bar on the riff. It's my famous Burns Marquis guitar, which I'm sad to say, the bridge is knackered in it and it's gone. It was one of my favourite guitars, heavy as hell, great tone. You can hear what I mean. Anyway, next song is called Golden Supernovas. This song is about my mum. It's a prog rock song where I'm chopping and changing time signature all the time. Quite poppy prog. This is actually the opens of the chorus, which is in 12/4, and it goes into 7. It goes straight for the pre-chorus. I like this song. If you knew me and my mum's relationship, you'd know the context of what I'm trying to say. I'm mentioning some of the references to her parents. Not long after the album, her dad died, so both of her parents are gone. Her brother recently, as I was making the album, died. Her brother Dave, my uncle Dave. It's kind of about her. At the end, there's somebody is ringing me to get hold of me for a gig, and I used it as part of the song because I'm such a cheeky bastard. The Naked Astronaut. Starts with this ascending riff in a drum machine. I like the song. The context is, I better turn it down, I'm not sure if you can actually hear that as well. The context of this is that my friend came to visit me in 2018, and he gave me a book for my birthday called The Naked Astronaut, and it was full of poems, and The Naked Astronaut is a poem, and it's an existential poem. A naked astronaut is a human being thrown into the world. I've just ran with that, really, lyrically. think it's a pretty good pop rock number, really. Next song is my friend, dedicated to my friend Dana Novak. See, it's about dedications, really. In a way, Naked Astronaut is one song referencing a piece of fiction in lyrics, kind of existential, kind of sci-fi, but really it's a kind of for my friend. The Nurse Who Saw Too Much is about Dana Novak, who was my friend, and she was working in a hospital in New York, and she found out that they were kind of deliberately neglecting the homeless people who were seeking aid and letting them die, and she took them to court. You can Google this. She's called Dana Novak, and in trying to do that, she lost her job, and she had to leave where she was living in New York, and she lost everything almost, but she still stayed strong as a really strong person, and she went to live in South America, but sadly she died of cancer. I was very close to her in a strange way, and I miss her a lot, and things aren't quite the same when you lose people that you're close to, and it's, even though I was close to her, I never actually physically met her, but we always planned to do that. And the last time she was talking to me, I didn't know she was dying, but she was dying. She just asked for me to believe in her, and I wanted to believe in her, and I wanted to believe that she would get better, you know. So this is a piece of that. It's a good song, actually. It's quite bright. It's quite jazzy chord-wise there. I still miss her too, still, you know. Shades of Man is about my brother. About how far he's come and how proud I am of him, raising a family, being married, and my beautiful little nephew, you know. Lyrics referencing me and him as children, basically. Mum used to dress us the same, and people used to think we were twins, and there's got a twin-like element to us now. People still think we're twins sometimes. It's still a different tuning. A lot of these songs are in Funny Ideas, and in a weird kind of way, it's kind of like a best of, because it's like a collection of some of my songs. Some I wrote there and then, and others are collected over time or from different periods, but they're all special to me. This is called The Last Republic. This is from my friend John, who came down. He's since got married. He's an excellent artist, John M.F. Casey. He's made a really great film on YouTube that he made as part of his art masters when he went to university in Ghent. It's really worth a watch. And here is a little blast of it. It's kind of a poppy, upbeat number. The last republic of you, is not true. The last republic of you, is not true. That's a reference to him. He taught me my first chords, basically. And what I did was, when I was about 13, I randomly turned up at his house and he showed me Nirvana, and then I kept coming back. We went to different schools by then, but he taught me how to play chords for the first time. We used to that was my first band from when I was 13. Me and John playing guitars, trying to sing. We were trying to be very clever for our age. We thought we could be like Nirvana and Sonic Youth straight away, mess around with tunings, not knowing at all what we were doing. But we had awesome fun. Right from the start, we made our own cassettes with our own artwork, weirdly enough. Didn't take very long to get reasonably proficient and to create our own style. We were called Putona. We had, in our infinite wisdom, decided to randomly go through a Spanish dictionary and pick a word, and the word Putona is Spanish for whore. So that's lovely, isn't it? What a lovely band name. We started out like that, and then he ended up playing bass because he loved playing bass. He was playing bass in school with another band, school band. And then I started to get a bit more vocally confident, so I took over the vocals too, and the songwriting we shared. We always had this thing where we would both write lyrics, and then I got more confident as a vocalist, so I ended up doing all the vocal duties. But we would still write lyrics, and we'd use each other's lyrics, because he's a great lyricist, a great artist. And then one fateful day, I was 17 or early 18, and I was watching the music channel, and on popped this sepia video. This dude with a Telecaster was singing, and they started up with this mad weird chord, which was like arpeggio, F minor, G minor, E minor. And I was like, what? Then this cool kind of Sonic Youthy riff, and then this E minor, F, E minor, E flat riff in 6/8, and I was like, so I was listening, like, this is really cool. And then it gets towards the end, and the guy's going back crazy with his voice. He's hitting these really cool notes, and he's almost like this gospel run up, and then he gets this high note, and I turned it off, and I they're speechless, and I just picked up the guitar, and I just thought, I'll try a little bit to see if I can make my voice sound kind of like that. So then I started to open up the envelope a bit, scared the crap out of the postman, and that was when I fell in love with Jeff Buckley's music. And what happened was we went through a spate of different drummers. We used to, it's so funny to talk about all this. We used to practice in a church. Our first gig venue was the youth group church hall. And we used to jam in there. They let us jam in there, use their drum kit, and we went through about 3 or 4 different drummers just messing around, playing covers and playing our own tunes. And then eventually, when we went to college, we enlisted the magic of Lewis Fuller. He had a bit more drive than us. We were just wanted to mess around with it, but we're very, very passionate and good writers, and we got into a good feeling with each other, and we could improvise and jam and come up with all kinds of cool, crazy ideas. But he was a lot more driven, so he pushed it forward. So we nearly had a run on that. We played loads of gigs, met A&R people, made loads of demos, because when I'm in the zone I'm quite prolific, and even am still quite prolific. So we just write, and every couple of months just go in the studio, actually record 3 tracks there and then, do overdubs, everything, vocal overdubs, bit of synth, bit of organ, mostly guitar overdubs, mostly vocal overdubs, build up the, studio jam the track, cut it back to the drums, redo the guitar, redo the bass, layer in the rhythm guitars, the weird cool lead bits, the heavy guitars, put in the main vocal, put in the vocal harmonies, pan left to right. Any weird stuff John wanted to do, he'd do, like breathing, screaming, poetry, and then maybe put a little bit of synth, keyboard, whatever on the top. And we did that for years. It seems like years, at least the whole time we was in college. We played some really, really cool, crazy gigs. We used to be mad live performers, jumping around and throwing our instruments around and just going crazy. It was a really great experience, but I don't think if we had made it, it would have worked, because I think I'm quite, at the time, was quite insecure in a way, and a little bit easily led, and it wouldn't have taken much on that score for me to have ruined everything by being an idiot. And John was the same. We're both quite impulsive like that. And young men, I think it even made or broken us, maybe both as people, and definitely as a band. But we even recorded at Maida Vale, played it in the garage in London, played some cool gigs. It was a good time in a way. It ended because we booked a gig and ultimately Lewis didn't want to do it. And then so we went for our final drummer, my brother. My brother came to play this gig at this pub that no longer exists. I think it's on the corner in Portsmouth by Albert Road, right on the corner there. As if you keep going to the mini roundabout, you're going to end up on the South Sea attraction place. Gone now. I think it's called something Anchor or something. And it was cool. He did such a good job. He's such a good drummer, my brother. But we were all moving on. John was going to university, and I wanted to move on. So I knew my brother wouldn't want to play the drums full time in the band. I decided to move on. I then joined a band called Melazina, and we did a couple of recordings and messed around for a bit. We didn't do any gigs because we didn't have enough songs. We had 6 songs, but you know, I think it was less than that even. Maybe 5 songs. Working with some good guys. Matt was an amazing writer and still is an amazing writer. Lee, my friend Lee, is a stunning drummer. I've never seen a drummer like it, and to work with him and both of them was a real amazing experience. I took on a different role as a supportive role. Matt was the main writer. I'd play lead and bass on the recordings, lead, drill and drums, and I'd share vocal duties with Matt. Great guys. I moved to Cornwall and decided to go it alone. Prior to that, I was in a band called V Channel, my second ever band, where I played drums for a couple of years. I did a couple of studio recordings which never materialised. I never heard them. Tim, James and Cy, all great guys. James is an amazing organist, piano player, synth player. Tim is a really great writer. He's been quite influential to me because he introduced me to bands like Depeche Mode. All cool guys. Now we're going to move on. Now I'm going to bring out a different side. This is my Halloween mask. For a laugh, I'm going to wear it. Let's illustrate the point why. We're going to get into the yin side. I can't believe it. I wrote a song for my friend Zoe, the artist. She did the cover to my 9th album, Dream After Dream. Gotta get some air and some wine. Nice vocals in this, I forgot that. It's in a strange tuning. The A string is tuned up to B and the G string is tuned down to F sharp. It's not quite a B minor tuning. And I wrote that for my one-time lover and friend Zoe Oakley. We had a really cool time when she actually did come to visit me. It was intense. She's a very intense person, a great artist, and I took her all over Cornwall. We stayed at my dad's cottage in Minions. We went to Kingsand, Whitsun Bay. I think I took her to Sharrow Point, Seaton, when Waves Bar was still there, as it was. We went to St Nectan's Glen on our last full day. Trebarwith Strand. We sat on the Royal William pub, what was it called? Port William. And we were playing around with runes, these little runes she'd found. These little stones that looked like runes, and we were playing games with them, almost like a chess game. We would drink lots of wine, lots of have lots of fun. She cooked me she made me a kind of broth, and it blew my head off. With ginger, it was the spiciest thing I've ever tasted in my life. We also went to my favourite place, one of my favourite places in Cornwall, Waltz, which is where the big mine engines on the cliffs, looking down over the bay that goes towards Porthtowan, looking out over towards, in the distance, Godrevy Head and St Ives. Very beautiful. And the other side, famously, St Agnes Head, one of my favourite all-time places in the world. It kind of shines with its own light. The wind is always beautiful there. It's so refreshing, even on a hot day. It's so windy and beautiful. And St Agnes Head is kind of this strange stone. It goes right from the top, pokes out like this, boom, boom, boom. Either side a massive drop, other side sheer drop down to the sea. And where the mine engine is, Wilcoach say, if you find a big rock like this, you can put it through a grid, and it goes all the way down through the old mine chute and it hits the ground, and it makes this 5-4 second boom. Drop it, boom, really loud noise. Yeah, so for whatever reason it could never be anything more than that. So I don't know whether I'll see her again or not, but I guess it's immaterial now. We had this great time. This next song is called Lioness. It's kind of got a Paul Simon vibe actually, and I wrote it for my friend, someone I just thought was so beautiful, an older woman, just so infatuated, intoxicated, and admired her qualities and her grit, her spirituality, her philosophies, and the way she's just gone for life, hell for leather, without any apology, with no shame, just loving it. And she's kind of like a lioness. That's what the song's about. Good song, I like playing it live. Again, one of my favourite tunings, which is D-A-D-G-A-E. Actually, you should play that again sometime soon. Really getting into more mask territory here, because now we're wearing the mask of fiction. This is called Roll Boys Roll. It's one of my favourites on this. This is a sea shanty I wrote. Can you believe that? Let's have some context here. My friend John we traded off folk songs, and he showed me all these cool folk songs and stuff, and it kind of made me think about songwriting differently. And I thought, why not write a sea shanty? There's a nice harmonium part in it, and I couldn't get it to work quite in pitch. I actually had to slightly pitch bend it to get it to work. Not quite a semitone, but in between semitone and the note. You'll see what I mean when there's an ending, the way it ends. It's got a quality to the ending. Here's something else you might look. It's interesting. It's like when I was writing this album, most of the songs, 10 of the songs or whatever it is, I wrote in very quick succession. I need to double check that actually, because I'm actually interested in it. Okay, so yeah, Golden Supernovas, Naked Astronaut, no, yeah, so 10 songs I wrote in very, very quick succession. And this song, I wrote in the summer of that year, 2018, and I just was playing the riff, and I made up all the lyrics and everything on the spot, and it's the first time in my life anything like that's ever happened. And I just couldn't believe it, and it's that as it is now. I tweaked it a little bit, but not very much, and I couldn't believe that could happen to a songwriter. You could make up a song, a riff and everything, and all the lyrics at the same time pop out. So that really blew my mind. Dogs with the Minds of Men. Again, it's quite proggy, in my own way. Lots of time signature changes. Dogs with the Mind of Men is loosely based on a dream. Kind of, okay, aliens were taking people with dogs and swapping their brains, so that dogs' brain was in man and a man's brain was in a dog. And it was just kind of inspired by that silly dream. But it turned up being a kind of cool song. The mask of fiction descends. The yin. Hold on. Doesn't quite work. Stretching all over forever. I also use that kind of, I mentioned amygdala, serotonin and stuff. I kind of reference in Psychopaths in it a little bit. So it does go into that territory a bit.
Dedicated to reconciling and
that's my mum talking.
Romanticism and a search for confluent love in an age of machine life.
This is
The quest for undying romantic love is being rapidly displaced by a series of confluent relationships, each entered into for its own sake. For what can be derived by each person from a sustained association with another, and which is continued only so far as it's thought by both parties to deliver enough satisfaction for each individual to stay within it. Terminated without regret or guilt when no longer satisfying, such affairs are valued only insofar as they are comfortable. Gone is the passion and idealization of romance. What exists instead are more placid, pure relationships consisting of a pleasurable, reciprocal exchange of fluids and feelings. This is a positive development leading to recognizing the other as an independent being who can be loved for her or his specific traits and qualities, and also offers a chance of relief from obsessive involvement with a broken or dying relationship.
Finally, some context. Those words that my mum spoken, I got her to record it literally the day after she'd been to my uncle's funeral. They're written by my uncle Dave, and that's his philosophic ramblings or ideas on current modern day relationships as they relate to technology and as they evolve in the postmodern or modern era. This is a song called The Frozen Umber. It's about a fantasy of death. It's a basic murder story. It's a piece of fiction, a cool little riff, and it's about someone taking revenge. You ever wake up being sad and you haven't got a fucking clue why? You ever wake up being sad and you haven't got a fucking clue why? lifeless slumber. It's kind of got a jazzy feel to the chorus, almost Smiths-esque in a way. Anyway, it ends with quite a cool little chord progression bit, but I feel like I've rambled enough. Some context as well. I feel like it's the culmination of the 7th album of lots of ideas that began a long time ago. Obviously it's one of the dedications. One of these is that they remind me of ideas that I started in Star Waltz. Ideas that came about in Dreamcage, and the way that I learned how to write songs, which I learned properly through Dreamcage, which kind of segued or beginned a little bit in the Mouse Escapes. And finally, Star Waltz is a reference to spinning of stars in a galaxy, and the idea or concept is everything spinning around each other all the time, and we're all a part of that. People are like that too. And finally, a bit of context on the album cover. The album cover is a face that appeared in dust on my curtain. A face that appeared in dust on my curtain. It looked so strange. I took a picture of it and I jazzed it all up with some photo art. And that's it. Thanks for listening to